Yo, we're back for another great and amazing episode with the Manny Hall Show. Have a special guest tonight that will be joining us all the way from the UK. I want y'all to tap in. I want y'all to invite people as y'all come in. Make sure that you're invite. This is gonna be the type of live interview that is gonna be really, really beneficial for you to take some notes. So if you got a pen, you got a pad, take some notes. We're gonna be talking about wealth strategies. We're going to be talking about housing in the UK. We're going to be talking about money management with my brother. And it looks like my internet connection is not that good right now. Okay. Waiting for my brother Samuel to join. He will be here soon. Able to get this game. Soon as Samuel joins, we're going to get started, y'all. Hope your day is off to an amazing start. Hope that you're doing well today. Be talking about money, talking about business. Samuel, there he is. Okay, let's see. Let's get my brother on here. All right, Samuel, so I sent you the invitation, so you accept it, then you'll be on. You should see the invitation, you just gotta accept it. There we go.
Good day.
Samuel, how are you?
Good day, my man, Manny. I'm well. I'm blessed, sir. I'm blessed. How are you keeping?
I'm doing really, really well. Thanks for taking the time to talk.
Most welcome, sir. Most welcome. It's really a pleasure.
So I think that I've been having a little small issues with my internet connectivity, so hopefully that's not going to be an issue. But let's go ahead and get started. Please tell the people who you are and exactly what you do, Samuel.
Awesome, awesome. So my name is Samuel Ikhinmwin. I'm also known as Samuel Ikhinmwin because I literally help people to win. I am a creative property investor, as we call it in the UK, where I'm based. And for those of you who are in Manny's world, who are in the US, I am a creative real estate investor. So I invest in real estate and I literally help people to create consistent, considerable cash flow using revenues and resources that are literally hidden in plain sight. So there's coaches out there who help people to build property portfolios over 5 years, 10 years. We literally help our students do that over 3 to 6 months. So yeah, that's us.
Wow. Okay. So tell us the importance of cash flow management.
You see, that's a powerful question, man. It's like cash flow is key. And that's the way I see it. I know a lot of people say cash flow is king, cash flow is king. There is a king and there's a king of kings. But I believe that cash flow is definitely key. And the reason I say cash flow is key is because if you think of a building and you think of trying to gain access into that building, so for example, that building might be your financial freedom. That building might be, your future. I'll give you an example. In 2015, one of the biggest desires my wife and I had was to homeschool our children. But at the time, we were both working full time in our jobs as educators. So we were going to schools. I was a teacher trainer. I used to teach teachers how to teach. My wife was a primary school teacher. She used to work with the younger children. And because we wanted to access financial freedom so we could homeschool our children, we needed a key. And what many people do, especially if they're looking at the real estate world or the property world, is they think to themselves, you know what, the way I'm going to get the key is just by buying property. But the problem with that is 9 times out of 10, they're buying on hope value. They're hoping and praying and wishing and believing that one day the price of the properties will go up. And because the price of the property will go up, they believe that one day they'll be able to walk away with more money than they paid for the house. You see, you can't replace an income based on equity. You can't replace an income based on profits. What do I mean by profits? Well, when people are out there buying houses, renovating, or as you say in the US, rehabbing, and then selling those properties off and generating 20,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 pre-tax profit. If you're like me and you like watches, you go buy a few watches. If you're like my wife and you like shoes, you go buy some shoes. You might buy a car, but then after you've made those expenses, the money's gone and you never make another pound from that house again. So equity is not the way to replace an income. Profit is not the way to replace an income, but cash flow creation is literally the only way to use real estate or property in order to replace an income. So that's how key cash flow is to me.
Okay, so really this game that you're giving to us, it really don't matter what part of the globe that you're in. If you apply these effective strategies, you really can win. So what about this person that is really bad with money? Their credit is all messed up. Like what is like some of the first steps that they should take?
That's a powerful question. So if I'm speaking to someone who's bad with money, they've got poor credit, and they're saying to themselves, what are the first steps they need to take? I'm going to say this because this isn't financial advice, but I want people to understand this. There is nothing that is broken that can't be repaired. Okay, I'm going to say that again. There is nothing that is broken that can't be repaired. There are broken relationships, broken marriages, they can be repaired. There are broken education systems. Like I used to work in schools teaching teachers how to teach. There were teachers who had broken strategies to teach children, and I would repair that for them. So I'm going to say again, there is nothing broken that can't be repaired. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that because I don't want anybody on here to be thinking to themselves, if you've got poor credit, that's the end of the line for you. It's not the end of the line. You can repair your credit. You can rebuild your credit. Okay, so there is nothing broken that can't be repaired. You can repair and literally rebuild your credit. Now, that's the first thing. And I would encourage and advise everyone to do that on their journey to cash flow creation anyway. Why? Why would I say that? Because in the future, if you really start to do some of the things that we teach, support, and help people with doing, you're going to get to a stage later on in the future where you're going to want to do even more. And part of the even more might involve utilizing your credit, which today you might not have good credit, but tomorrow you may have repaired or rebuilt it. Okay, so that's the first thing. I would encourage people to repair or rebuild. There's nothing broken that can't be fixed. Now, what are some of the first steps, initial steps for people who want to get into cash flow creation, but they don't literally have good credit, they don't have money, they're bad with money? One of the key things is to understand something I first heard from Zig Ziglar. Now, this is a principle that's in the Bible. So for any of you who read the Bible, you'll find it in the Bible in hundreds of places in the Bible, literally hundreds of places. But I heard Zig Ziglar, a motivational speaker, share this probably about 16 years ago, and he shared it in such a succinct manner. I said, okay, you know what, I get it. And what he said was, service to many leads to greatness. I'm going to say that again. Service to many leads to greatness. What does he mean? Well, in the cash flow space, what that means is there are landlords out there. There are property owners out there, people that have been invested, and now they're a bit tired. They're what we call tired landlords. They've been invested for 20 years, 30 years. One thing I always tell my people is that property is old money. What do I mean by property is old money? If you look at the statistics, the majority of people that own or control property are over the age of 50. So property is old money. Okay, so when you understand property is old money, you understand most people who have properties are people who've been doing this for 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, 30 years. They're tired a lot of the time. Now, if you understand what Zig said, service to many leads to greatness, and you can come in and support those people by saying to them, hey, listen, I've got a property business and I'd love to manage your property for you. Instead of you having to manage it, I'll manage it. I'll take the liability. I'll pay you every single month so you won't be late on your mortgage payments, but all the liability will be on me. I'll get the tenants in. You can do everything. Now, the strategy you use after that is up to you. I'll give you an example. I created this resource some years back. It's called 30 Ways in 30 Days, okay? And I literally, in that resource, break down 30 different ways you can make money using property as a vehicle. So I'm not saying that there's only one or two strategies to use. There are multiple strategies. But the key is when you take that property to manage, you can then employ one of those strategies and radically maximize your cash flow and be able to pay that landlord, that investor, as well as walk away with a revenue yourself. And that's got nothing to do with your credit. That's got nothing to do with your finances. That's got nothing to do with how much money you've got right now. Let me even say this. Those of you who are tuned into this right now, if you just sent a message, a simple message, posted it on your Facebook page, posted it on your Instagram, okay? If you just sent a message in your text messages, if you just DM 100 people you know and said, hey, I'm in the business of managing people's property and I'd love to help you. What are your thoughts? Let's jump on a call. I can guarantee you, you'll have over 20 people you'll end up speaking with before the end of this week. So it's got nothing to do with how much money you've got. It's got nothing to do with how bad your credit is or how good your credit is. It's all about whether you're willing to take the action.
Yeah, so it also sounds like then we got to kind of get to this point where we're willing to put in the work. Because if you're building wealth, if you're coming with some really dope cash flow strategies, you got to be willing to put in the work. You got to be able to educate yourself. This is one of the biggest parts. Now, getting around coaches, getting around programs, around successful people is really the quickest way towards wealth. Now, some of the slow ways to wealth is you trying to do it all by yourself because you think that you're smart enough to figure all this out. You're not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I literally just had a contractor just leave my house because, there was something with the walls that were cracking because of the house settling. So he had to fix that. Could I have fixed it? Absolutely. But I probably would have had to watch some videos, go to Home Depot, buy all the materials, then come back and start fixing it, which would have took time away from my business, time away from my family. Nope. So we got other people that are talented at what they do. Let them win. Same way with this. If there's a coach, if there's a consultant, somebody that's good at what they do, they know how to manage money. They know how to get you more money. They know the strategy and the techniques. You got to tap in. This is the way you win. Right. But I will honestly suggest to all of y'all that are listening, you got to put in the work. You got to get focused in this season. You want to build wealth. You want to have a life that you only dreamed about. And listen, some of y'all dreams are so big you ain't even dreamed about them yet. Catch that. Some of y'all dreams are so big you ain't even dreamed about them yet, because this is like a God-sized thing that you can't do by yourself. But here's what you have to understand. If he gave you the vision, he's also going to give you the provision. And that provision is going to include the right people, the right team, all the money that's needed, all the intelligence, the right words to say. It's all going to be included, but you got to be able to trust the process. Samuel, go ahead and teach, bro.
Nah, bro, Manny, what you just dropped there is some gems. Look, let me help the people with this, yeah? There is no such thing as a self-made millionaire. Let me even go deeper. There is no such thing as self-made. Self-made as a concept is a false concept. It's a false dichotomy. It doesn't exist. What do I mean? Well, literally, it takes mama and papa to tango for you to show up. There's no such thing as self-made. Everything is team-made, all right? Yeah. I'm going to show you something else. This resource, I created this resource sometime back, Team 10. What does it say? The subtitle, Discover Your Property Power Team. Why? Why did I create that resource? Because I understood when I got into real estate and I started producing great results, that all the best results I was producing were based on the fact that I was leveraging a team, was based on the fact that I was working with other people, was based on the fact that I was not trying to do it on my own. You see, sometimes, and this is a principle I share with a lot of my coaching clients, I ask the question, do you believe in God, but actually rely on yourself? You see, most people never think about that. Most people never realize that they say, oh, I believe in God, but they only rely on themselves. And it's the same with a team. You see, if you believe in yourself, you should work with yourself and with the other team members. Yeah. You see, Manny, the example you just gave, I think is extremely powerful, because what people don't realize is they're not leveraging their time. Every single time they say to themselves, I'm going to watch 100 YouTube videos and work out how to do this. You see, those 100 YouTube videos, they weren't created for you. They were not created for you. Literally, the videos that were created for you are the ones like this, the ones that help you leverage your time, the ones that help you realize, you know what, I've got a better use of my time homeschooling my children. I'll have a better use of my time working with my wife, building on my marriage and my relationship. I have a better use of my time teaching, training, coaching, supporting other people who want to learn this stuff. You see, because there are so many people who go out of their way and they do not do what they're supposed to do. What they're supposed to do is learn how to be more efficient. You see, I love what you said, Manny. You said you've got to do the work based on what I was sharing earlier. Let me give you some real value, some real game. You know, in the Bible, the book of Genesis, right in the first book, God made it easy. So if you don't get out of that first book, you learn this principle. The first thing the Bible says God gave to human beings, to men, to mankind, to men, is work. Before he gave Adam a honey, Eve, he gave him work to do. Before he said, oh, go and enjoy with this beautiful woman, he said, go and do the work. Yeah. You see, I used to share with young men who were preparing to get married. And I used to say to them, listen, if you are not comfortable doing work, don't be out here trying to find a spouse. Why? Because you've got to be out here knowing that you love work. You got to find the work you love. And look, I apologize because I know as I'm saying this, there may be people tuned into this who are like, but Samuel, I don't love the work I do. The reason you don't love the work you do is because you're not doing the work that God probably gave you. That's another point going back to what I asked earlier. Do you believe in God, but rely on yourself.
Mm.
You see, if you believe in God and rely on God, he will open up your eyes to start to see what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And that's what he did for me. And that's how I started saying, you know what, I'm going to focus on my property business. I'm going to focus on investing in real estate.
Mm.
I'm not going to give my whole life to working in schools, which are teaching a faulty education system and destroying children's lives and losing the opportunity to actually become exactly who God has created me to be. So I want to encourage people to think about it like that. Like, you know, there's no such thing as self-made. And if you really want to move further, faster in your life, you need to be someone who understands I'm giving up that self-made fallacy and I'm going to shift into leverage lifestyle.
Mm.
And the way you leverage lifestyle, you start building teams. And let me say this, because some people don't understand this. You don't have to pay people to have them on your team.
Right.
You see, that's one of the biggest myths. People think, oh, I need 10 people who are all on a salary in order for those 10 people to work for me. No. You see, what most people don't realize, and I love teaching this in the UK and to other audiences about real estate. Do you know that 90% of the people who support you with services in real estate only get paid on your success? Do you know that? Okay. Now, some people who are tuning in, they might not know that. So let me make it easy for you. You see, a realtor in America or an estate agent in the UK, you know, they will literally, if you allow them, they will literally show you 1,000 properties and never ask you for $1, £1, 1 cent. They will literally show you 1,000 properties. Why? Because that's their job, and the structure of their business is set up to not get paid until you succeed. If you don't find something they're going to buy, they don't get paid. It's the same as a mortgage broker. In the UK, US, the same. A mortgage broker will go out, have meetings, discuss with lenders, find out if they can get you some money, and they will not even take a pound, a dollar, a cent until they've secured you X amount of pounds. Now, this is the thing that's interesting about this. Check this out, Manny. Imagine I speak to a mortgage broker and I tell the mortgage broker, look, I'm trying to buy a house, it's $500,000, okay? I want this house, is $500,000. The mortgage broker goes out there, has meetings, has consultancies, has all of these sessions, and comes back to me after, let's say, 4 weeks and says, Samuel, we got the offer. We got the offer. This is the bank who's going to give you the money, $500,000 secured for you. And after they secure for me $500,000, they ask me for their $1,000, £1,000 fee.
Gotcha.
So you go and create £500,000 before asking me for £1,000? Sign me up for that deal.
Yeah. Absolutely. But these are going back to your earlier point about wealth strategies, cash flow strategies. Like, most people don't know these things, so they'll continue to waste a whole lot of time. I've had clients that said, Manny, I think it's time for me to get in real estate. I'm building up enough wealth. I said, okay, go ahead and do it. But get with somebody that's going to help you. Now, one part is getting with a coach, getting with a mentor, hiring a company, right? But the other part is getting around a team of people. Again, to Sam's point, you ain't got to pay for a team all the time. Get around other successful people that you can say, hey, man, like, I got a quick question. Like, I'm thinking about buying this investment property. The, loan to value is this. After repair value is this. Does it make sense? Should I actually be doing this? No, that the numbers just don't make sense, bro. Don't do it. But you would have just did that deal without having somebody that supported you, because you just be trying stuff. And we got to kind of get out of this mindset of, I'm going to just try stuff on my own. If it fails, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with failures. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. But if you can have somebody that has already made some mistakes, already made some of these failures, give you that game to avoid some of them, now you win a lot faster. Now you're getting to this point where you're enjoying your family much more. You taking your wife out to dinner, you taking your husband out to dinner, like y'all kicking it and enjoying your life, and you don't have this thing on your back of, I gotta go back to work. One of the suckiest parts, Sam, about taking a vacation anywhere in the world is knowing that you got to go back to work. That's one of the suckiest parts about the vacation, is you got to go back to work. And I used to be that way. Like, it would be like a week vacation. And if I know that the vacation was over on Friday because I needed to get back on site to get back to work on Monday, around Thursday or Friday, my wife's like, what's wrong with you? Like, nah. But I really want to tell her, Sarah, I'm pissed off because I got to go back to work. That's the concern. I can't really enjoy myself. You deserve to be at this point where you take a vacation, You're not taking a vacation away from your life. This is your normal life. See what I'm saying, y'all? Like, this is your normal life that you always enjoy. So when you're taking a vacation, you're just getting back to more enjoyment, not more suffering, not more sacrifice, not more struggling at this job. And it's going to take some time for you to get there, but you first got to change your mindset about who you are and the wealth that you're bringing. You can't keep thinking of yourself as this poverty-minded person that you've always been. And I've told y'all in several live videos. You can check all of them. I grew up in a way where my mom and dad was stressed out about money all the time. They weren't paying their bills on time. They didn't pay the mortgage on time. They were always arguing, stressed out and anxious about money and worried. I didn't want to live that way. But because I grew up that way, there's this thing called modeling of behavior, right? I modeled their behavior unconsciously. So I took on their same characteristics, same behavior. It took me some time to break some of those mindsets. It took me some time to get those new belief systems in, but I had to do it by reading books, getting around other successful people, spending much more time in prayer, and meditating. Meditating is that thing. Meditating is so crucial for you and your business. A lot of times we as believers will pray, but never spend time just sitting there and allowing God to speak to us. And if you're that person that's always talking, God, like, hey, I got something to say. Like, well, I'll see you later, God. Probably tomorrow. I'm going to pray again tomorrow. I'm going to talk to you some more. But I'm not going to sit there and listen. He's trying to give you the game, but you got to sit there and listen. But these are all things that need to be done in order for you to change your mindset, for you to start building the type of wealth that you deserve. If you don't believe that you deserve $1 million, you're not going to get it. It doesn't matter how hard you work. You can work your butt off, but if you believe about yourself that you're only worth $100,000, $75,000, 75,000 pounds for those listening in the UK, you have to change your mindset about who you believe that you are. Sam, am I teaching good? Is this right or wrong? Tell me, am I right on or not?
You're teaching right, Manny, and Manny, you've even touched it again. You see, everything you just shared comes back to the concept I said: believe in God and rely on yourself.
Yeah.
You see, check this out. I believe, this is my belief, you don't have to subscribe to this belief. I believe that God made every single human being for a purpose.
Yeah.
So I believe there's a coach out there for me in the business realm that will help me to become a more successful business owner.
Thanks.
And I believe there's a coach out there in the social media realm who will help me with my marketing and my social media, the perfect person God has created out there. Why? Because I don't just believe in God and rely on myself. I'm trying to believe in God and rely on God. So I believe he's already set everything up for my success. So like Manny, you said it earlier, you see, we have to start to realize that things are already in place. He hasn't just given you the dream or the vision without the provision. He's giving you the vision and the provision. And sometimes the provision is not what we think it is. The provision is not the cash that we're waiting on. The provision is not, oh, I've got a 50, I've got 100. Listen, you see, some of us think that this is all we need. And I've got dollars on my desk. Yeah, people are saying, he's in the UK, how come he's got dollars? I got dollars with me. Some of us think that this is all we need. I want to encourage you to understand, this is not all we need. There are things that are way more important than this, but create this as a byproduct. What do you mean, Samuel? That doesn't make sense. Let me help you. In the book of Proverbs, it basically says you should chase wisdom, you should chase understanding, you should chase instruction, you should chase knowledge. Why does it tell you to chase those? It tells you why. It tells you because all of those bring wealth with them. You see, there are so many people who chase wealth and don't realize that instead of wealth, you should be chasing wisdom. Here's the reason why. If your wealth is taken away from you, your wisdom can recreate the wealth. But if you only chased wealth and you lacked the wisdom, your wealth cannot recreate wisdom.
Wow.
You see, people don't understand this stuff, man. This is why people get lost. I hear people, you know, let me share this with you, man. Yeah. Okay. So those of you tuned in, I want to give you a value nugget that one of my coaches shared with me. He said to me once, he said, listen, I want you to understand something. I want you to understand that poor people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Like, just imagine that. How much does that coaching cost? How much does that course cost? How much does it cost to buy that car? You see, you're thinking about the cost, but you're not thinking about the value. You're not thinking about the fact that the meeting you've got with that business owner, when you roll up in that specific car, that guy's gonna say, you know what, you don't need my money. You don't need my money, so I'm interested in having this conversation with you. I'm interested in potentially selling to you. You see, when we do real estate, this is one of the things people don't understand. They don't understand that how you do anything is how you do everything. You see, I'm literally teaching you guys as you're tuning in how to think like a rich person. Because that's how we literally think. When you're wealthy, the way you think is not what's the cost of everything, it's what's the value of everything. Are you telling me through a 3-day program, a 5-day program, you're going to show me how to replace my income? Literally, yes. What does it cost? It shouldn't even matter what it costs. You should see the value. So if you just spent 12 months generating £30,000, then it should be worth to you £30,000 or $30,000. Because if this is going to replace your income, then whatever your income was, this is worth at least that. You see, but a lot of people don't think like that because and you said it, Manny, you said it earlier about your parents. We've literally been indoctrinated with faulty education. Okay. Now, for some of us, it was our parents. Okay. I had some of that from my parents too. But for most of us, and I'm going to be honest, maybe because I was an insider, I can tell you, for most of us, it was the education system.
Agreed.
That's how they make sure they get you. Because if they didn't get your parents and have your parents teaching you the rubbish, they get you when you go to school. Because they teach you. Look, let me share this, Manny, yeah? So I used to teach maths. My subject was maths, A-level and secondary maths. So in the US, that is like grade 11, grade 12, all the higher grades before you go to uni. Now, this is one thing I used to love realizing. When I left the education system, I looked back and I realized this and I was like, wow, is this what we were doing? If you look at every maths textbook and you will find this question. The question is, which is the best offer? Which is the best deal? Which is the best deal? Okay? This is a textbook question in every maths book you will find. And what do they always do? What's always the best deal? Tell me, Manny, do you know what's the best deal all the time in the maths books in schools?
Tell me, Sam, tell me.
It's always the cheapest. It's always the cheapest. You're going to calculate these three, let's talk about toilet rolls. These 3 toilet rolls cost £1, $1. These 2 toilet rolls cost 50 cents, 50 pence. So you're going to say, oh, well, hold on a minute. The 2 is better because it's cheaper. And the 2 is better because with $1, I can buy 2 and I can end up with 4. Or with £1, I can buy 2 rolls and end up with 4 rolls. You see, what people don't realize is that is how the system has indoctrinated us to search for cheap things, to look for cheap things, to look for the lowest price. And let me tell you something, I'm going to be honest with you. 9 times out of 10, things that are the lowest price are of the least value.
Facts.
So it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You're looking at the cost, you're forgetting the value.
And Sam, do they have here in the U.S. they got these things called dollar stores, where like you go in there, everything is like $1 around that. And
yes, sir.
you know, walking in there, you would think, well, I just need this, but then you get home and use that product, and it's not the same experience because in this particular case, that cheaper option wasn't better. And you look at bigger companies just in terms of experience. I talk about Disney a lot. Disney creates this experience that costs a whole lot more than a regular amusement park would. And you can say, well, I had fun at the other amusement park, Manny, but you didn't have the same experience. And Disney, as well as other companies, they're all about creating that experience. So it's like, and if you're a company, if you're a brand, you know this is what I do. I want y'all to start really thinking about the experience that you're giving to people. And related to this whole school thing is it shouldn't be shocking that if they're teaching you this stuff from the moment that you're in first grade, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10, 11, and 12, that you are going to have these tools inside your head that are going to help you to manage money. Now, these tools aren't the right tools to help you manage money because this is why we get into debt. While, you know, Sam, here in the States, when you go to college that first year, they used to have people posted up to get you a credit card, but they gave you a free gift along with signing up for the credit card. So you got like some little keychain or some little battery operated something, but you got a credit card attached to it. These are all things that we're taught that, oh, you get a credit card, that's free money. You can do fun stuff with it. Go buy yourself some clothes. You don't have to worry about paying it to next month. But then next month, you don't even realize now it's 4 to 5 months and I haven't paid this at all. Because these were things that we were taught. Why aren't they talking about how to balance a checking account? Why aren't they talking about how to move and leverage your money? This is stuff that the real world is doing, so why aren't they teaching this? And I think, Samuel, and I'm not in the school system, and I'm not trying to play nobody there, but y'all have to understand that I think that it's about creating these robots for society. Why is it that we keep pushing people to go to college all the time? Y'all going to college for what? So now we have all these people with bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs that can't find a job. So now they're finally relying on their own gifts and talents and saying, well, maybe I should start a business finally because I can't get this traditional job from going to school and doing all of this stuff. Saying, why is it that way, bro? Why is it that way?
Man, you've literally taken it there. And look, for anyone who's tuned into the live who thinks I'm about to say what I'm about to say because I haven't studied a degree, I've studied 4 degrees. And I'm about to share with you something very insightful based on studying 4 degrees. All right? So here it goes. The first thing is this. You see, when people go to school, you know what? I'm gonna tell you how I work this out because I think that's the easiest way. Because then that way, some of the viewers will be able to work this out themselves. So I used to work in schools. I used to teach teachers how to teach. I used to teach A-level and secondary maths. I'm teaching maths, and I'm also helping teachers become better teachers. And one day I go to my classroom, and this thought is in my head, and it's a thought that a lot of people think when they go into business. And that thought is follow the money. Okay, I'm going to say it again. The thought in my head was follow the money. Because if you're a business owner, a lot of the time, what you need to do is follow the money. You need to ask yourself, where's the money coming from? So I said to myself, in the UK, in the US is exactly the same. There are hundreds of thousands of schools. There are schools all over the country. There are schools all over the city. And my question was, how do they build this? Where does the money come from? Where, you see, this takes money. It takes resources. Where do all those resources come from? This was the question in my head one day when I was sat in my classroom. And the answer hit me. The money comes from taxpayers. All the money comes from taxpayers. Every single pound to build every single school, to do every single thing in the education system comes from taxpayers. So when you understand where the money comes from, you understand what the incentive is for the school. Okay? Now, hands up. This is not a finger pointing at teachers. If you're a teacher, this is not me telling you, oh, you're doing the wrong thing. This is me helping you understand why the curriculum is the way the curriculum is. The reason the curriculum is the way the curriculum is because entrepreneurs, business owners, 9 times out of 10 will have the most efficient systems as it pertains to tax. Why? Because entrepreneurs and business owners are not relying on their own knowledge to deal with their finance. Wow. Entrepreneurs and business owners, like we said earlier, they are going to build a team. And they're going to have someone in their team who deals with their accounts in the most efficient way. So as a result, as an entrepreneur, I may be paying less tax, even though I make more money than someone else who's a doctor, someone else who's a management consultant, someone else who is in a high-paying job. Now, some people say, oh, no, the system, it doesn't want me to be a doctor. It doesn't want me to be a lawyer. You got it wrong. The system needs you to become a doctor. It needs you to become a lawyer. Man, he's got it right. This is why they keep trying to indoctrinate us to send people to university. Because in their mind, what they've realized is if we can keep producing tax-paying, high-paid individuals, we can still keep making money through the rat race. And if we keep making money through the rat race, we can keep building schools to indoctrinate them to keep giving us their money. We need to take a step back and realize this system wasn't created for your success.
Wow. That's deep. So, you know, as we part, give them some last words of wisdom and ways to get in contact with you, Sam.
Awesome. So right here, we're on Instagram. Feel free to follow me. I'm at Samuel Ikhinmwin. In terms of words of wisdom, listen, I spend a lot of my time teaching people how to creatively create cash flow. And one of the ways we do that is through our 5-day cash flow creation challenge. So in terms of wisdom, what I would say to you guys, if you're tuned in, if you're viewing this, is literally learn how to create cash flow. Cash flow is the key way to replace an income. If you're someone who's already retired, cash flow is the key way to provide yourself with a real pension, not the fake pension that the government give you where the only thing you can buy is Ryvita biscuits. I don't know if you guys have Ryvita biscuits over in the US, but literally, you see, most people, when they retire and they start getting that state pension that they worked 30 years, 40 years, 50 years for, they are shocked because they say to themselves, I thought I was going to get more than this. I thought it was going to make more sense than this. How comes I'm only getting these crumbs? The reason you're only getting these crumbs is because the system wasn't created for your success. So I want to encourage you guys, learn how to creatively create cash flow. If real estate is the thing for you, check me out, connect with me both on Instagram, direct message me. But if real estate isn't the thing for you, it might not be real estate. But whatever it is, learn to create cash flow so you can change your life.
I absolutely love it, y'all. Hit that arrow, the down arrow right at the top. You can go over to Sam's page, make sure that you follow him. Make sure you just stay connected. This is the Manny Hall Show, where we literally interview some of the best and amazing individuals all over the world. I don't care if they're in the Amazon. We're going to find them and pull them out the ground and say, hey, we got to interview you because we want y'all to get this game. And you see with some of the stuff that's going on in the UK and some of the same stuff that's going on here in the US, it's all about dollars. If they making money, well, it's time for you to start making some money too. And Sam, I just want, if you got 5 more minutes, let's just spend a little bit more time digging into some ways that they can build cash flow, because I want to make sure that they walk away with that. Like, so what's some effective ways that they can walk away with some cash flow?
Awesome. Let me ask this, Manny. Are you happy for me to share my link for the challenge that we're going to run next month?
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna do that for you guys, because what I want you guys to understand is this. You see, Manny's just asked me to do something powerful, share some steps that you guys can start to create cash flow. And I want you guys to understand, you see, an Instagram live, we might go for an hour, we might go for 2 hours, but there's only so much you can learn in 2 hours. My dad taught me something powerful when I was young. He said to me, no condition is permanent. And I used to think to myself, what does that mean? No condition is permanent. And what it means is, it doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter if you're in prison and you're watching this Instagram live. That condition is not permanent. Things are going to change. So you need to learn, if things are going to change, what do I need to do today to support the change in my favor? What do I need to do today to support the change for my purpose? And let me give you a key example so you guys understand exactly what I'm talking about. All right. In the Bible, we see a story of an amazing man. His name is Joseph. And you see what happens with Joseph quite powerfully. Joseph is entered into a prison because of the simple fact that his brothers, when he shared his dream, and Manny was talking about dreams earlier, when he shared his dream, what happened was his brothers literally abused him and threw him into a pit. Then straight after him being thrown into a pit, he ended up in the prime minister in Potiphar's house. Then in Potiphar's house, he was serving and he was falsely accused. He ended up in prison. But you know the funniest thing, like I said, even if you're in a prison right now, no condition is permanent. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what can I do right now to start making my future come in my favor? What did Joseph do? Because some people right now, you might be saying, Samuel, I hear you. I want to create cash flow. I want to make the change. But what do I do right now? What Joseph started doing is tapping into what he had, even though he wasn't where he wanted to be. Okay, now you might have something right now. You might have, for example, some time, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You might be on your lunch break. You might be at your just before you go to bed. It might be just before bedtime. You might have some time. Why don't you take that time and invest it in learning what you need to learn? You might have some resources. You might say to yourself, listen, I don't have 50,000 to invest in property, but I've got $500. I can at least invest in learning. You see, what most people don't realize is they spend so much time trying to focus on what they don't have, they never learn how to utilize what they do have. This is why I shared at the beginning that I help people to create cash flow using revenue and resources which are hidden in plain sight, because the skill and gift God's given me is to help people realize what's right in front of their eyes. So guys, I want to encourage you guys, if you're trying to take this journey into creating cash flow, to start to understand there are things you have in your hand right now that even if they can't create what you're trying to create, they can take you from where you are to the next step. And it's at the next step where you have the resources to take the next step. And it's at the next step where you have the resources to take the next step. And before you know it, you'll be looking back and saying, look how far I've come. So I want to encourage you guys, check the link, cashflowcreationchallenge.com. We'll be running another challenge, soon. And guys, you can jump into that, get involved, learn more about how to create cash flow from the strategies that we teach. But I want to encourage you, if you really want to start taking those steps, start asking yourself, take an inventory. What do I have already? You see, there's only 3 parts to every deal. Most people don't understand that. There's only 3 parts to every deal. You see, I'm so glad there's only 3 parts, Manny. I'm so glad there's not 18 parts, 15 parts, 24 parts. You know why? Because I'd forget those parts. But there's only 3 parts to every deal. Let me break down exactly what they are. The first part to every deal is literally the opportunity. If there is no property opportunity, if there is no real estate opportunity, there is no deal. I'm going to say that again. If there is no property opportunity, if there is no real estate opportunity, there is no deal. I want everyone to understand that. So the first part to every deal is the opportunity. The second part to every deal is the work. It's literally the work. Like we spoke about at the beginning of this interview, it's the work. Are you going to go out there? Are you going to do the work? Are you going to think someone else is going to do the work for you? So it's the opportunity, it's the work. What we call the work is sweat equity. Who's going to put in the sweat? Who's going to put in the energy to make sure that that opportunity is tapped into? And the last part is the money. Now, here's the interesting thing. When you start to understand there's only 3 parts to every real estate deal, there's only 3 parts to every property deal. It's only about the opportunity per se. It's only about the work per se. And last but not least, it's only about the money. You start realizing you don't have to have all 3. You can be the person who learns the skill of finding great property opportunities and offering them to people who have the money and who are willing to do the work. Or you could say to yourself, listen, I don't know how to find opportunities. I don't even know how to fund those opportunities, but I know how to do the work. I'm going to be willing to do the work for people who've got the money and people who've got opportunities, but they don't have the time. I'll give my time. Or last but not least, like many people who end up working with us, you might be the person who's got the money. And you say to yourself, I've got this money. It's sitting in a bank. Listen, Manny, this is the thing that really freaks me out sometimes. People put their money in a bank. When you walk into a bank, there are posters on the wall that say we only protect you up to £75,000. In the UK, £75,000. I don't know how much it is in America, but I know it's not going to be much more. You see, how do you leave your money in a place that says I'm only going to protect 75,000 of that money? Imagine you went to your friend's house with a duffel bag full of money. You just did your first property deal. You got a duffel bag full of money. And you say to your friend, can I leave this money here? And the friend says to you, yeah, I'm only going to protect half of it. You see, but we do that every day. We do that every literal day by putting our money in a bank and trusting the God of the bank without realizing that the bank is only going to protect you to a certain amount. So I want to encourage you guys, if you're someone who's got money and you're leaving it in the bank, your money's in the wrong place. That money needs to be put to work. Money is like a soldier. Go and send that thing to war so it can come back with the spoils. So that's what I'm going to share with your guys, Manny, to add value to them.
Hey, Sam, go ahead and answer that last question. So
all right, my man, Shaq. Shaq asked a great question in the live. Shaq's been on our 5-day challenge. So Shaq, let us know how the 5-day challenge was for you as well in the comments so that people who are tuned into this can get a feel of the 5-day challenge. So Shaq asked a great question. He says, what does the work literally entail? Okay, now it depends on the strategy you're using. If you're using strategies, for example, like rent to rent is a strategy where you rent a property from an owner. You say to them, you're going to pay them every single month a guarantee of the rent. You then go out, and after you guarantee their rent, you then change the formation of the property. So you might take a house with 3 bedrooms and 2 reception rooms. Okay, in the UK, we say reception rooms. In the US, we're talking about living rooms, sitting rooms. Okay, so you take a 3-bedroom house with 2 reception rooms. You might have to put like 4,000, 5,000 into that property, and you change that house into what we call a house of multiple occupation. So that's where you now set the house up. So 5 different people can live in that house. Okay. Shaq says the 5-day challenge was fire. So you change the actual order of the house. So where the landlord who gives you the house was renting the house out to one single family, when he passes it to you, you put the money in to convert the house from a house with 3 bedrooms and 2 receptions to a house with 5 livable rooms.
Yeah.
And now what you do is you now rent these rooms out to individuals, one at a time. So you have 5 different people paying you an income on one house because you set it up as a multi-let property. Now, in terms of doing a strategy like that, and that's just one of like the 30 strategies that we teach people on this on this program that I've created, etc. But to give you guys an insight, the work what does the work entail? Shaq's asked. The answer to that, if you're doing strategies like rent to rent, is you're gonna have to know the information. You have to literally know, in this borough or in this city that I'm investing in, these are the guidelines. Because I can tell you something, if you understand what I shared earlier, that property is old money, 9 times out of 10, the investors that own property in that area, they're not up to date with legislation. Why are they not up to date with legislation? Because they bought that house 20 years ago. They're not thinking about every change every year. But if you are coming on the scene and you want to start taking control of these properties and converting these properties so you can generate more cash flow, you have to stay up to date with the legislation. So part of the work is being aware of the legislation, knowing what the legislation is. Another part of the work is going out of your way to be willing to find and build a team, like I shared earlier. Why do you have to build a team? Because when the landlord gives you the property, you want to be able to show that landlord, I've got people to come in and do what needs to be done straight away. I've got my laborers, my builders who can come in and they can do the work that needs to be done. I've got my accountant who can get the numbers done, get them fixed when I need them to get done, and so on and so on. So the work entails being up to date with legislation, ensuring you've got a team to support you, so all the things that need to get done can get done simply. And last but not least, another step I'll give you in terms of what does the work entail, it's about awareness. Being aware of where the market is going. Because you see, most people are like, oh, you can't tell the future. You can't tell the future. Let me tell you something. You can't tell the future, but you definitely sure can predict it. Okay? And it's not about telling the future in the real estate market, but it's about having a good understanding of how things work. So you've got a strong understanding of where things are going. How can you do that? Let me give you this answer real quick. If you look at cities which are further along than the city you're in, then what you find is what's going to happen in the city you're in is most likely going to tend towards that city that's further along. But what most people do is they just focus, like let's say it's London. Oh, I'm just focused on London, London, London. So because you're focused on London, you're not looking at other cities which are further along with legislation or changes. So when things change in London, they just catch you by surprise. And if you keep getting caught by surprise, you are not going to win in this game of real estate.
This is absolutely amazing. You gave out so many great jewels. So the way that this is going to work, y'all, after this is over, you're going to see this video posted to my Instagram page. It's also going to be a link created for YouTube. I'm going to send it over to Sam. He's going to share it with his audience. And then I want you guys to go back, watch it, take some copious notes with a pen and a paper so that you can really get this game and apply every single thing that he said. You can win this year. This is your year to win. But I love y'all. Peace and blessings. Y'all have an amazing day. Thanks again, Sam.
Bless you, bro.